Good morning, Ms. Gonzalez.
Today I am going to explain first some concepts that are related to moral misunderstanding in an institution, and then I am going to ask you some questions about this, so we can see what are the most common moral misunderstandings in a company. So the first concept is moral justification, which can be understood when the person is involved in a situation that considers unfair, as long as their action impacts on the generation of greater good for the company, for the majority. So the second is euphemistic labeling of actions, which is equivalent to hypersimplifying an unfair situation, or it could also be hypersimplifying the consequences of a situation. Then we have palliative comparison, which consists in contrasting the fact that we are indignant with an even more serious one. So this is just like comparing two situations, and one can be even more, like we can take more seriously one than the other. Then the next one is dissolution of responsibility, which has to do with the way in which people seek to dilute our responsibility among the rest of the group that surrounds us. Then comes shifting responsibility, and it has to do with how we let others do for us what we could have done without their help. I think these two had a lot of things to do between them, like dissolution of responsibility and shifting responsibility. And then comes the distortion of consequences, that seeks to highlight the way in which the effects of an action at the end of the day did not turn out to be as serious as we thought. That is also simplifying the consequences of the actions that we make. Then comes the humanize the victims, that aims to convince us that the effects of an unfair act are less bad than they appear. And for example, this mechanism prevents us from seeing that, for example, drug lords or terrorism or rapists, we don't treat them as if they were human, we just treat them for the bad things that they did. And the last one is attribution of guilt of the circumstances. The best cover to not act in a country where what is involved is to deceive others to go ahead of any company. So these are the four concepts of moral misunderstanding, and now we are going to proceed to make the four questions about the organization. Okay. So first question, what are the main springs that detonate the moral misunderstanding in your institution?
I have never heard about these mechanisms nor about moral indignation. I think these are just concepts that name what the human knows already knows by nature. I think the most remarkable springs that detonate the misunderstanding in our company are dissolution of responsibility, shifting responsibility, and distortion of the consequences.
So the next question is, in your institution, are they aware of such springs?
I believe no one is aware of them, because most of them are made without a bad intention, and the most time I think they are just misunderstanding. I think that people whose actions or work are guided for these moral mechanisms are just not motivated people. They are just trying to shift work and consequences to others. So in our interest, we try to motivate each employee, and this is also an aspect in our Leadership 2020.
What effect does it have for your institution that employees are morally disengaged from their work commitments?
So it could be that the employees don't feel good, and so they get ill and don't come to work. There's also a problem with the atmosphere in the office, because when there are problems with the communication, our projects and results are not as efficient as they could be.
Okay, the last question is, by means of which ways do you think it's possible to reduce moral misunderstanding in the company?
Yes, one effective measure is of course the team development. We had time for a few days together, so we respect and trust each other even more as we already do. In this time we discuss problems and solutions, and of course what we like or what we should do better. Another aspect is the Leadership 2020. It supports a good work and team atmosphere, and it also reduces stress and hierarchies.
Como conclusión de esta segunda etapa del proyecto final, pues creo que, como dijo mi colega, estos mecanismos son algo que pues no todas las personas saben. Es algo que, bueno, definió este autor, pero que verdaderamente pasa en la mayoría de los trabajos, sin importar en qué área se encuentren. Y pues, bueno, creo que en cualquier área de cualquier empresa, en cualquier oficina se van a dar estos malentendidos morales, pero creo que siempre existen mecanismos en todas partes para lograr combatirlos, como por ejemplo, bueno, en este caso que me platicó mi colega acerca de el Teamentwicklung, que es donde pues se juntan a hablar de los problemas, a conocerse más, a integrarse, y pues todo para siempre tener un mejor trabajo en equipo. Y bueno, pues esta técnica nueva de Leadership Fancy, donde pues quieren crear un ambiente nuevo de trabajo, etc. Y todo es siempre para seguir mejorando lo que es el trabajo en equipo y siempre dar mejores resultados. Pero pues al final de cuentas creo que malentendidos morales, dilemas éticos siempre va a haber en cualquier lugar, sin importar en qué área nos encontremos. Pero pues al final de todo siempre estos malentendidos se pueden trabajar más que nada con la comunicación y pues otras habilidades que vamos adquiriendo conforme trabajamos en equipo y conocemos a las personas con las que nos desarrollamos diariamente. Y bueno, pues eso sería todo. Gracias.